Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. We're going to continue something we started the last time, which was to talk about championing the child. Now, that's a word my own inner child likes, and I was attracted to that word, the idea of having a champion in your life. I wish that I'd had a champion as a child. One of the great, deep losses in my life was not having a father. And the idea of not growing up with any sense of protection. And so that's one of the ways that I understand becoming a champion to my own child, giving myself protection. And last time, one of the programs, we talked about the 4 P's of therapeutic change. I took 3 of these from Eric Berne, who was the founder of transactional analysis. And he talked about a new source of potency. In order to change, you need a new source of potency. Literally, the child in you needs a new source of potency. And you need to get new permissions. So in another program, we talked about changing rules, breaking the no-talk rule, breaking the no-feel rule, breaking rules about you can trust your eyes and ears. You can make a mistake. It's okay to make mistakes. We really have to let our little inner child know that. Also, the inner child needs protection, because when you first start this work, it's like there's a part of your head that when you get all this family system stuff and you really begin to understand it, it's kind of shocking at first. You know, it's like I've had people write me out of the family series and they say, "You ruined my childhood. I had this great childhood until you came along." I'm sorry about that. I'm not trying to ruin anybody's childhood. We're trying to heal the child so that we can have this child in our life. And we've spent several programs looking at all that painful feeling work that you have to go through, I think, to finish the past. You can't finish something unless you grieve it. Now that we've grieved it and we've reclaimed the child, now we begin to re-champion the child or champion the child or reparent the child, and to begin to give this child a kind of nurturing that the child never got. Now, in the process, we need protection, because there's a part of my kid that goes, "Wait a minute, you know, I don't know whether I trust these new people or these people that are writing or these things I'm reading. I know when I read Alice Miller, I really get it, and then I go away and little voices come on and say, "Now, wait a minute, you didn't have that bad a childhood. You had 3 squares and a roof over your head. Let's don't get carried away here." And some of you know very well, like when you're working on sexual addiction or you're working on sexual abuse or physical abuse, how at first when you start getting to memories, it seems like, well, wait a minute, you know, maybe I'm just making this up. See, I see some of your heads nodding. And then gradually you begin to get it that, whoa, wait a minute. And all these pieces start coming together as you find out the truth of your childhood. So in the process, we need protection, because it's very scary to the child to leave home. Some of you may remember the program we did where we did the homecoming meditation. And I said, you're standing there with your child and you see your parents come out on the porch. Tell them goodbye and start walking. But when we do this in the workshops, oh man, people just start wailing, because it's very scary to leave those parents. And in a sense, my hope is you leave in order to go back. That is, you leave in order to have a relationship with them. I have the best relationship with my mother that I've ever had. I held my father on his deathbed. Even though we didn't have much of a relationship, we had as much as we could have at the end. So the goal here is not to say I'm never going to have anything to do with my family again. It is to leave so that I can become the person I was meant to be, that I can build my own boundaries, have my own life, and then I can choose what kind of relationship I want to have with that family. And hopefully you will want to have a relationship. You love them. You do want to have a relationship with them. The fourth P in championing is one I've added, not that Eric Byrne wouldn't know this, is practice. Doing practice. So we're going to talk in this program about infancy. What can you do if you didn't get your infancy needs met? What can you do if you didn't get your toddler needs met? What can you do if you didn't get your preschool needs met? We're going to look at all those areas. The first thing that's most important is for the child to believe in you. And so the way that I like to draw this is that now that you're championing the child, it's like the child's out here in your consciousness. You know, I'm the champion. Now, I like to appear as a wizard to my child because I collect wizards. So I usually have some little stars on my toes or, maybe a wizard hat, something like that, and a wand with a star on it because little John likes wizards. I have this collection of wizards. And you see, to a child, to you as a 5-year-old, if you walked into the scene, you would be a very compassionate, powerful stranger. You would be magical. Ron Kurtz talks about the adult coming into the child in his therapeutic process as magical. So it's very important to know that you're powerful to that child and that you can protect that child. And one of the things that I recommend to everyone is finding a support group, finding a group of people, finding a new family of affiliation. For me, that was my 12-step group for a while. Now it is a support group that I have created of some men. I especially needed a male support group. I don't mean that in any sexist or prejudiced way. It's just I never had a father and I never was loved by a man. So I didn't know what the love of a man, I had a grandfather, I knew what the love of a grandfather was, but there's a difference. That father wound has been a very big wound in my life. So forming a support group has been enormously important. It's like a new family. Sharon Wexheider Cruz calls it a new family of choice. It doesn't mean you leave your other family, but this family needs to be a non-shaming place. A place where you can go and you're not going to get shamed, where you can have your feelings. Like any of you have been following some of the programs we've done, you see them sitting in the group, sharing, validating. Enormously important that we have that. Then we can, as adults, I can use my adult to find new fathers and new mothers. Now I really want you to hear how I said that. I don't want to let my child find a new father or mother. I want to let my adult find a new father or mother. So in my support group, I was real sad on my birthday 2 years ago. Johnny, who's in my support group, brought me a custom-made putter. I take that as an act of fathering. A year later, his mother died. I was there for him in a nurturing, caring, supporting way. He can use me as a father. I can use him as a father. I have women in my life that are mothering and that I can be fathering to. And we've made those contracts with each other. These are non-sexual, sensual. These are friendships that are commitments. Mary Bell at our Center for Recovering Families has been very loving to me. And I can be fathering to her and she can be mothering to me. Now, I talked in another program about intellectual mothers and fathers. Virginia Satir, Marion Woodman, Robert Bly, Jacques Maritain. These have been some of my intellectual mothers and fathers. And I can think of, people that have been in my life, in my childhood, like Sister Mary Uberta and I still write letters to each other from time to time. And there's a priest in Toronto named Father David that is a very important person in my life. He loved me at my worst. He loved me at my worst. And I have some people in the 12-step group that I went into who saw, here I am, an alcoholic, and I tell them all my worst, and they loved me. They were there for me. So I consider those people part of my family of affiliation, and I use them as mothers and fathers. There have been many people in my life that have been mothering and fathering. The danger is to have the kid do it, because he wants to make them into mother you have to be my mother all the time. Like I'm getting very special care doing this series, and my hair is being done and my clothes are being put on for me. I'm kind of liking this, and my inner child is going, hey, let's do a few more days of this. This is very nice, but it's a reciprocity. See, a child has a right to unconditional love, especially in the first years where a child is helpless. I don't think as adults that that's really possible. I think it needs to be reciprocal. That is, it needs to be, yeah, I commit to you, you commit to me. So I very much believe in finding new mothers and fathers in my life. Now, I believe in prayer. Prayer is important to me. I'm not going to stand up here. People think I'm an evangelist anyway. I cannot tell you how many people have tuned in and said, I thought I was this evangelist on there, and I was about to flip it till I listened. But it's, I share all my pain with you. Why shouldn't I share my spirituality with you? When I was in the monastery, I went 371 days without a sexual thought. So be careful what you pray for. You understand this? I used a prayer to the mother of Jesus, and boy, this baby's powerful. Little John's very impressed with this prayer. Now, I really wouldn't want to ever do that again. But it was very powerful. And when my father was dying, he was in a coma, and I prayed with all my heart, and that there would be enough time for his grandchildren. And suddenly, I'm telling you, I put my hands on him, and he had a heartbeat. Now, I'm not claiming anything miraculous. It scares me to even talk about it. But I believe in prayer, and my little kid believes in prayer. And one of the sources of protection for people is prayer. Now, sometimes I think prayer can be magical. People use it. If you let the inner child take over, he can make prayer magical, like people saying, God gave me tickets to Oiler game today, or a 49ers game. I'm not sure that's what the almighty source of the universe is doing, is working out, football tickets. But on the other hand, I don't want to mess with anybody else's belief system. And if that's your belief system, that's your belief system. The kid in you needs to know that there is a something greater than yourself. And anybody in their healthy shame, in my opinion, knows that there's something greater than themselves. The greatest philosopher maybe that ever lived was Immanuel Kant, and he talked about standing there in the wonder, looking at a starry night, and saying, how could anybody not believe that there was some design or something greater than himself? So that's very important for me in my championing work, to let my inner child know that I believe in a source greater than us. And I think that one of the most incredible things that I know about is the 12-step groups. Scott Peck said not long ago that when we come to look at the 20th century, we may not think of nuclear fission, we may think of Alcoholics Anonymous. That it's been so powerful, this healing phenomena. And of course, the 12-step programs are based on having had a spiritual awakening, and an 11th step, which talks about sought through prayer and meditation. This is what has cured alcoholics and addicts in a way that nothing else has. So for anybody not to notice that is not being very scientific, that this has been the greatest single healing phenomena we've known.